Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Webex Wednesdays at 1. I'm Kim.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Zach.
And we're from Hungerford Technologies. We want today to be very interactive, so you don't have to wait till the end to have your questions or your comments. Send them out. The only thing is that whatever platform you're watching on today, you'll need to be logged in on. If you happen to be watching from our website, you're going to need a Twitch account to comment. And speaking of our website, you can go there to see all of our past episodes. So make sure to check those out if you've missed a week.
Awesome. There we go. Thanks, Kim. So like Kim said, every Wednesday at 1, we go live because every organization, small business, corporation has a need for virtual meetings, especially right now. Today, we're going to be covering, we're going to be continuing, number one, our series, how to get the most out of Webex. And we're going to be covering Webex devices, so physical hardware that Webex has for us. We are going to be doing a demo video of this as well. So there might be some interference with our internet or audio. That's fine. We're going to roll with the punches, figure out how to get it done later. But as always, can't say as always, I did last week. Ben, welcome back. This is your platform, man. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about video endpoints. And a lot of times with what we're doing with Webex, if you want a more seamless experience, it really helps to add in video endpoints because I can take meetings from wherever I am, my phone, my computer, someone else's computer, and we can just walk into our conference rooms that we have these video endpoints in and wirelessly share, or we can throw up our Webex meeting into these devices in the different rooms that we have set up. So we're just going to kind of try to go over that. We're hoping to do a follow-up video where we can actually demo the technology inside of Webex and show what that looks like with the actual endpoints. So we'll probably put that out too as an additional episode under this one or on our YouTube channel. So from here, let's share screens, and if anyone is interested in following along here too, projectworkplace.cisco.com is where we're at, and under this space is what's called it basically gives a list of devices, workspaces, some features that are included in the devices, and you can also kind of click into them and see what's included in the different packages, and you can look at data sheets and some other stuff. So this is really helpful, really useful. So you can go here and check out things at a later time. And the different devices start off with, you have your Webex board. So if we click into that Webex Board 85 here, this is a much larger device because it's 85-inch screen, 4K LED LCD. And another thing that's really nice about these boards is if you have the need for doing anything with like touch screens and sharing whiteboarding virtually that you're doing. So we see a lot of this in different construction type companies or builders or anyone who's using it to kind of upload a blueprint and then also write on that blueprint is using this kind of technology. And then also if you just want to have interactive capabilities with different whiteboards, these are really nice options. And then so at the top, it's kind of hard to see on here, but in the very middle of the screen at the very top, there is a camera built in, and there's also a microphone built into the device. The microphone actually has what's called speaker track technology. So as I move around to different spaces in the room, it'll actually start to learn and adjust and frame me in the picture of its field of view. It's a really nice thing that allows people who like to present and walk around the space and walk around the room. It allows that capability built into the system to kind of just follow them wherever they are, and then people can see them as they go. So you have the ability to also mount this on a wall. You can get like a wheeled cart, which a lot of times gives you, some additional options, but we can talk about some of those things at another time. And under that too, there's technical details, but if we go back to the devices here, we'll go to, when we look at the different types of boards, a lot of times what I tell people is let's look at what you're currently doing and what you're currently using and try to replicate that, and then bring in some of the technology that you guys are currently using into that space. So if someone's like, yeah, we have a TV in our conference room, but we also want to be able to do whiteboarding, want to be able to draw on a board, but we also want to have other people inside of an interactive space be able to do this as well, then you may want to think about one of the Webex boards, because it does allow you a lot of options. And then if you get one of those wheeled carts as well, you can kind of wheel it around to different spaces in different rooms. The nice thing about all of the Cisco endpoints is there's minimal amount of cords. So for Room Kit, we have Room Kit in one of our conference rooms. There's 3 cords. There's your HDMI cord, there's the power cord, and then there is the internet cord that hooks into the device. And you can add some additional things from there too, but it really makes it simple, especially compared to some of the other technology out there that have not only multiple different devices from different companies and different manufacturers. So if I have to come in and I have to plug in, a Polycom video unit or a Polycom phone and another type of video unit, and I'm using another, video conferencing company, I have to call all of those different companies individually and say, hey, I'm having some issues. And then that company who does your video conferencing says, no, it's not us. You call so-and-so.
The blame game.
Yeah. And so you just kind of go in a circle. So if anyone who's called Comcast or any of the other internet providers, you guys know that a lot of times you get talked around in a loop and sent to 20 different people only to end up back with the first person you talk to. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you needed that. So with this, it's all on the same system, same platform. It's simple, it's easy to hook up. I've walked people who are office administrators, CEOs, and interns through how to set up one of these devices too. So it's simple to use, it's easy for anyone to kind of set up, and it's easy for them to use as well. If we kind of scroll down here too, there's a couple different devices where we have what I call personal devices. So a lot of times we see like CEOs or higher up leadership positions using these Cisco DX80s or the Cisco Webex Desk Pro. And then Zach, if you want to click into the Desk Pro there. Yeah. The Desk Pro is pretty nice. 27-inch display, 4K touchscreen. It comes with a digital whiteboarding pen. I don't know if I mentioned it, but the boards come with one of those as well, so you can draw on there. It also has some really nice noise canceling built into the microphone array. So if there's noises going on in the background and people are banging on stuff, a lot of times it's going to cut down that background noise, and you're going to hear more of what that presenter is saying than everything else that's going on in the background, which is really nice. And especially in today's world, it allows you to go to different spaces and different places and just be able to, speak and not worry about a lot of other things that are going on. So it is one nice thing. And then if you click on the bottom under there where it says huddle and executive, you can kind of take a look at what it looks like in some different spaces. And then if we go back, like if you want to click on that 3 people on that huddle space, executive there.
Oh, executive, got it.
And then if you have it in an executive space, you can see this room set up, and they have one on the desk. And then in the background, it looks like they have one of the boards on the wall. You can kind of get a feel for what it would look like in a space that you're using. So if we go back to devices, Zach, those personal devices are nice because you can take them pretty much anywhere you want to go. It does allow you a lot of flexibility. And with the Webex Desk Pro, it's kind of an upgraded version of the DX80. DX80 is one of the longest standing devices that Cisco's had, and it's been around for quite a while. It has a camera on the top and a screen in the middle. You can also use it kind of like a second monitor if you wanted to do that as well. But it is nice to be able to do video meetings with. Some of the other Cisco Room options give you some really nice features because it has almost like a sound bar built into the top, but then the quad camera built into that soundboard, or what am I thinking about? Sound bar. Yeah, sound bar is the word I was thinking about. Yeah. And then that also has the speaker track technology, but you also see that it has the split screens. So the one in the middle that Zach has right here is a 55-inch dual monitor, and it has the quad cam built into the top. It has some of those same capabilities. The one nice thing about this board is it also comes with a Touch 10 panel, which looks kind of like an iPad. You can see it in the bottom of the screen there. And then it comes with 2 table microphones so that you can set it up on the table. If you have a larger space, then people can, be farther back in the room or closer up to the front and still be able to have good quality audio through the solution. What I would say too about these devices, a lot of times these are used in larger spaces. Think about, 15, 20 person plus conference room. And then you can kind of feed those puck mics. Another thing that you can think about too is if you wanted to, and thanks Zach for bringing this up,
Yeah.
you can see what it looks like in one of the spaces. Another thing that you could do too is you have the ability on some of these different video endpoint solutions to do ceiling microphones too, so that they're kind of out of the way and you're not having to run cords into the middle of a table and set them up. All right, if we go back to devices, another nice thing too is that each of these have like a setup guide that you can walk through, and then our organization always helps with assistance in getting these things set up and showing you what to do. All right, if we go down, let's keep scrolling down into some of probably the endpoints that we sell the most of because of just functionality and capabilities and able to do so many different things are these room kits. So on the far left hand side is actually what looks like a Webex Room Kit. It's either going to be a Webex Room Kit Plus or Webex Room Kit Pro. They both look very similar. The nice thing about those, if you click on it, Zach, is
this one right here.
Yep. Is they have that quad cam built in. So farther field of view, so they're going to be able to see a lot larger space and inside of a lot larger room. And then if we go back out to devices and you scroll up to see where it says Cisco Webex Room Kit Plus right there.
Yeah.
And let's see, I think if you click on technical details, it'll show a back. So then you can see you have multiple Ethernet ports, you have HDMI hookups, and you have a couple other USB and some other things too. So you can also hook it into other solutions too, if you're an AV company or if you're a company that produces events for other companies. So it allows you with some of the other ones as we scale up. It's going to have Webex Room Kit Plus has multiple different ports that you can hook different things into. But if you also switch to some of the higher ones like Webex Room Kit Pro, it gives you even more flexibility to go in there and it tie into other solutions too. And even it also even has some interactivity with, if I want to do like Smart Room, where if I walk into the room, I can go onto my touchpad and I can turn off my lights or turn up the lights, turn down my blinds, or anything that you have hooked into it. There is also some customization when it comes to that from a smart room standpoint. So, okay, if we look at these other options too, all of them do have the speaker track ability. So as I move around the room, it's going to refocus in on me. If multiple people are speaking, it's going to zoom out to get multiple presenters in that field of view. It also allows me easy, seamless internet connectivity and connection between Webex Teams and Webex meetings. If any of us have joined any meetings in the past, we know that the old way of doing it was someone would come into the conference room and they would, turn on this projector. You have to wait forever for it to come up. And then they would pull this, 20-foot cable and they, someone would be like, hold on, let me get this to you. And then you'd plug in your computer to share your screen. And then it would always be really fuzzy. The nice thing about these room kits is I can go in there and I can wirelessly share to TVs in the conference rooms that we have. But another thing that's really nice is it also has built-in, depending on the lighting and everything in the room, like you see me here, like I'm a little bit, like my lighting is a little bit off because I'm using my computer camera and I have some really bright windows, so it's having a tough time focusing in on me. These devices have the ability to adjust to the lighting in the room, and I've seen it when the automatic thing is turned on. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but when it's turned on and I walk into that room, It's really nice. It adjusts. So if it's really dreary out, it looks just like a normal day. If it is really light, it kind of adjusts the brightness so that I don't have my forehead just be like gleaming off of the lights. So that's another nice thing too about the devices. Then it has that noise canceling built in. But the technology allows you to be presented in a much better light than if you're using your computer like what I'm doing today. And it's just a much better experience too if you're in a leadership position or if your organization is running meetings or virtual events. You want to put your employees in the best position to succeed. And a lot of times that has to do with, quality of the video that they're, portraying out to the audience or to other organizations that you guys are working with. And these devices really help a lot with that.
Hey, Ben, that actually segues into a great question. Joe asked, for the devices with multiple cameras, do the cameras switch automatically?
Zach, were you going to say something?
Yeah. So good question, Joe. When I first got started at Hungerford, I was also very inquisitive about all this hardware. And so we were in a meeting one day, and on our board, I could see, the person talking, and it was like a whole room. And then the second that I started talking, it zoomed in on me, and it was like I was the only person in the room. So I think the answer is yes, right, Ben?
Yeah, it is, and it will switch too. If you're connected through Webex or if you're connected to someone else with another video endpoint, it'll switch between different presenters. You also have the ability to set up presets. So some organizations will have it set up as presets where they can click through different camera angles, and then they can kind of do it manually if they want. And they have someone kind of monitoring and doing this on the pad. And they've already preset all of these angles so that it can switch to those best views. Because when it's using speaker track, the more you speak, the quicker it adjusts, but it's not as quick as someone just pressing those different angles. So you can also build those in and do some presets if you want as well. Another thing that I was going to say too is one of the new technologies is almost like an Alexa for the video endpoints. You can turn on the Webex Assistant and you can say, okay, Webex, start my meeting, and it'll bring you into the meeting, or open up my personal room, and it will do some of those things on voice command. So I can walk into spaces too, where our room kit is at, and if it's turned on, I can do some of those things to just bring myself much quicker into different spaces. And then inside of the devices, if we look at that user interface there, I don't know if you can click on that. It looks kind of like an iPad. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see a little bit of a microphone with a line through it. That allows me to mute and unmute the microphone. And what this does, a lot of times, if you're meeting with other customers or other businesses, you can mute that and talk with your team and then unmute your microphone and then talk back to the other side. You just say, hey, you know what, we got to talk about this, but I'm just going to put us on mute for a second. And then you mute it, then you talk with your team, then you unmute it, then everyone can hear you again. Volume control is right next to that, so you can turn up and turn down the volume on there. And then when I click in, there's a couple different buttons that are a little bit harder to see here, but calling is on the very left-hand side. I can tie in a calling license to the devices, and I can actually use them like a conference room phone. So I can actually make calls without ever using video and call out to other people, which is really cool. And it makes it really simple and easy to go from there. Another thing that I can do is when I walk into these rooms, I can share my screen, and I can click either in the bottom corner of Webex Teams. There's a thing that says connect to a device. If I'm in proximity to one of our video endpoints, we can click that button, and it allows us to wirelessly share up into whatever solution we're using inside that space. Another thing that I can do too is inside Webex meetings, like I can take the meeting that we were on and say, all right, I'm going to walk into our conference room. I click connect to device, and I'm connected inside of that meeting. I can also click on the devices, and a lot of times what I have, most people might not know this. Yeah, go ahead.
Right
yeah, bottom left right there is connect to device. If we were in proximity to one of the conference rooms, it would say HT conference or one of the different conference names. we'd be able to connect and share. So a lot of times I can use either Webex or Webex Teams to share documents, even if I haven't started a meeting. If I'm just meeting with people internally at our organization, I can wirelessly cast that up and share in there. Another thing that I was going to say, though, is when all of our devices, I've saved as favorites my personal meeting room link for Webex, so that's easier. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go into that space and I'll click call me, and I'll call my room, and I'll already have it open on my computer so that I can share whatever I want into that space, and speak and share my screen and show my desktop and share files and all those kinds of different things. But then I'm also connected to the video endpoint, and I can have access to a lot more additional things.
I think you should touch on one big thing that is looked over a lot in devices like this. So I have 5 years of Apple experience, hardware under my belt. So I'm gonna reach into that bag for a second. The amount of times that people come in and they are confused with how much is going on the screen with all your apps, with all your choices, with all your buttons was substantial. Like the amount of times I had people say, like, can't you just make this easier? And I'm like, well, I'm not the one that, I understand what your complaint is. This device makes it very, very easy. It has physical, malleable buttons that you can press and push and click and see. When I first got to Hungerford, I didn't know how to use this, had to call somebody. And I was like, oh, well, there's call, share, meetings. Well, I think I'm going to call someone. It's very simple. So like Ben said, if you're an administrative assistant, a CEO, or an intern, and it's your first day and they say, hey, go set up a call, you're able to do that. It's that easy. It's that simple. And a lot of the products that you've seen have this simple UI/button layout where the hardware and software together just make sense. I think that's something that we shouldn't really glaze over. It's a big draw.
Yeah, and another thing too that's really nice is if I click call and it's synced with Microsoft or Webex Teams, I can immediately call any of those people that I'm connected with inside our organization through Webex Teams and turn on that video and go from right there. Kind of leads into my next thing that I was going to say. It does have integrations to Microsoft Teams too. There's some additional work that you need to do to tie those things in, but a lot of organizations do use Microsoft Teams as well, so you can integrate that there. One other thing I was going to say though is what we do in Outlook is also set up the rooms so that they're schedulable resources. So when I walk into that room, it notices and it says, hey, Ben, your meeting is about to start. And I can click the big green join button and start that meeting. It's really great. It always seems to be working. And it usually makes it easier for people who aren't as technical. Go ahead, Kim. You were going to say
something. Not only is it super simple, but if you happen to have one of these Touch 10 units, you should check out our YouTube channel because we have a whole tutorial on how to go through, as Ben was saying, like how to share your screen, how to do some of these things he was talking about. Just make sure to check out our YouTube channel and you'll find out videos on how to do each of these individual tasks.
Perfect. And then if it has some other cool features like snap to whiteboard. You have a whiteboard in your conference room, you can actually have it snap to that whiteboard and present it in the best light. And then you can draw on that whiteboard like you normally would on a physical whiteboard and have the screen kind of snap and put it in the best view. So that's another thing that's really nice. And then you have some other accessories that you can tie these into, like Cisco microphones, if you see that on the bottom left, and then ceiling microphones and some of those other additional things that just make a much better audio experience depending on the sizes of the room. If we go over to those workspaces too, we can kind of see a breakdown of the different types of rooms and different types of devices. So if you go up to the top again here, Zach, if you go to 1 to 3, a lot of times spaces that have about 1 to 3 people in them are going to be best for those Webex Desk Pro, DX80, maybe potentially a Webex board depending on the size of the space, or like a Room Kit Mini. Our boss has a Room Kit Mini. He's on it all the time. And I remember when he first got it, I didn't think he was going to use it very much. And then he just started using it more and more and more. And now, like, I think he has it as home office too. So like he joins everything from that,
So
that
nice.
Room Kit Mini, and he just loves it. Like he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's so cool. Like it does all these things, and he's really into it. So, just kind of a side note, like once you start in tying that into the you can actually set up a trial and trial some of the devices. And there's a couple different options, and main ones are just a room kit. So like a room kit and a room kit mini, we could send out. You guys could demo it and see if it works for what you guys are looking to do. If we move up into some of the bigger spaces, into the 4 to 9 range, a lot of times what works best in that range is still room kit mini, regular room kit, maybe some of the boards depending on what your needs are. If we go into let's go into the 10 plus spaces there. A lot of times this is where the Cisco room options come into play. So you can see this is one of the dual ones, and then another dual board, the Cisco room boards, and then that one is actually 2 TVs set up with, it looks like a room kit plus or pro on there. My guess with the size of the room is probably a plus. And then they also have off to the corner there another camera that can kind of adjust the angles and look at different people inside the room. But so there's a lot of different options. If you are curious what works best for your needs and what size of rooms, as well as what type of devices would work best, we can always, have a conversation with you and talk about some of these things. And I think too, what'll help is when we talk about a lot of these things, we can talk about the devices and everything, but what helps more is when we can visually show people how to use them, how they work, and kind of see it so they can see that experience. So we'll try to put something out there too, so you guys can get a better understanding of what that looks like. And then I think for today's show, I mean, if you're looking to seamlessly integrate what you're already doing with Webex meetings, and Webex as a video conferencing platform, this is kind of the next great step into a better video meetings experience. Also, where we're at in the world right now, it really kind of helps to have some of these solutions to meet virtually with people wherever they are. And you can see, I mean, from today's session, like my video on my computer is just not doing the best. And I think we've had a couple squeaky audio issues. If you're using one of these endpoints, you're not going to experience those same things, and it's just going to be a much better experience overall.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. If you want to reach out to us, you know how to get a hold of us, and I think Zach's going to go over that one more time so people know. But thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, so there are a couple of different ways to reach out to us. If you're looking for a full feature free trial of Webex, or you're a current Webex customer, reach out. Our email is info@hungerford.tech, or you could go to our website like Kim showed earlier in the episode, just hungerford.tech. It's super simple, super easy. Next week, we're going to continue this series of just looking at what we can do to get the most out of Webex for your company. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll look forward to see you next week, or if you're on YouTube, watch another episode. We appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.